The day was June 15th, 2021. I was door dashing and per usual while I launched YouTube to download something to listen to on my commute. I seen a video that IGN posted, Steam Deck, first hands-on with Valve's handheld gaming PC. Now I've always been a huge fan of handheld gaming. At the time, the PSP was my favorite video gaming anything of all time. Little did I know this was about to change. This Steam Deck thing fascinated me. The touchpads, its size, but more interestingly is it looked like it fulfilled every kid's childhood dreams, to be able to play AAA games anywhere. Something I felt the PSP did to an extent. It was at least the closest we have ever came. But now we might actually be there. I became a hungry dog who would eat any scraps you threw at it. Any content that was made on the Steam Deck I devoured in anticipation. Now I've had a PC before, but I was not super into PC gaming, mostly because of trophies, my obsession. But this was no mere PC. It was a console-like experience it seemed, and it ran Linux. I have always disliked Microsoft and Windows, but with this thing I could play in a console-like experience and then switch it to desktop mode and use it as a PC. That idea was very exciting to me. A lot of people shared in my hype. I reserved this thing as soon as I heard about it. Unfortunately, I heard about it later in the day, so when I put my reservation in, I ended up being placed in Q3. In the meantime, I learned all I could about it, joined 2 Steam Deck groups and the Reddit. I was too hyped for this thing. Valve allowing us to save up on our accounts until our time to order and using our Steam wallet to purchase it was big for me because I had 3 kids living with me and I was engaged, and I was not about to be able to just drop $650 on a new console without her deleting me in my sleep. I did not think it was possible for my hype to increase, but it did. This is a trend that I've noticed with the Steam Deck. Once I found out you could emulate pretty much every console on it but PS3, my mind was blown. Then I found out about EmuDeck, where I could just organize all my games and display them on a digital shelf in the menu. This thing was insane. My wait for my turn in the queue was an eternity, but eventually it came. Over a year later, July 14th, 2022, a year and 29 days after I found out about this thing, it was my turn to order it, and I did. Now I just had a few more grueling days to wait for it to get to me. What made it worse is FedEx gave me the wrong delivery day, and I literally waited by my window for 8 hours one day, waiting for them to come while playing my Vita, and they never did. I was heartbroken. It updated later that night to say it was in Kentucky, where it set for I believe 2 days before it headed up to my state, Ohio. I spent those few days getting all my ROMs organized so I could easily put them on there. My day came. Dude, I was shaking with excitement. I felt like a kid again getting my first PSP. When I pulled it out of the case and held it for the first time, my first thought was, this thing is huge. My second thought was, holy crap, this thing is comfortable. It fit into my hand like a glove. To this day, it is the most ergonomic feeling piece of tech I've ever held. Even the weight felt good to me, and I preferred it. The thumbsticks were nice and big, unlike any other handheld I've had in the past. And I actually really thought the screen was crisp. I set it on my tablet stand and initialized it. I installed Madden first, I believe. 2 games I've always wanted to be able to play on the go was Madden and Call of Duty. Call of Duty won't run on SteamOS because of anti-cheat, so Madden was the choice. I was so happy with how it looked. To be able to play my franchise all around the house and on the go meant a lot to me. Soon I found the power of what has become my favorite feature on the Steam Deck, the touchpads. My favorite on the hardware side because software-wise it was Steam Input doing all the magic. I love Steam Input so much. To be able to use the touchpads and directional clicks or swipes to execute actions is fantastic. Later I would discover I could actually use my DualSense touchpad with Steam games in a similar manner. In The Witcher I had directional swipes on the right pad for meditate, save game, open inventory, and screenshots. The left one I used to switch between Geralt's signs. This became the definitive way to play my favorite game of all time. Back buttons would be dodge, block, item use, and a quicker way to call Roach. It was awesome. I played it at 40 FPS, and it was the perfect portable experience. I honestly prefer playing it on my deck than any other experience. Another thing I fell in love with was the OS layout. It's probably my favorite GUI since the XMB on the PS3 and PSP. I'm a simple man, and a simple GUI just makes sense, but sometimes companies do not get that and overcomplicate things. Valve nailed it. I loved the cover art, just being the center of focus in their UI. I mean, it is a gaming first device. It also made me greatly appreciate Linux. though that came with a lot of frustrations until I learned how to fully utilize it. Having the option to use it as a PC, and a pretty decent one at that, is amazing. I actually dual booted Windows on it, and I use Clover as a boot manager, but I edit all my videos through Premiere on my Steam Deck. By far the greatest thing for me about the Steam Deck is the ability to tinker. Plugins, EmuDeck, mods, etc. You can customize this device to your liking. This is something I used to do with Android phones back when rooting and custom ROMs were a thing, RIP Nexus, but this set this device apart in many ways for me. Valve giving the user so much control earned them a lot of goodwill in my books and others. I hope Valve always remains a consumer-first business like they have been, because it means a lot to us and is a huge reason a lot of us root for them and use them as a gaming platform. They have let people do RMAs for wild things, and they have been nothing but patient, helpful, and useful, and we as fans cannot thank them enough. The first 2 weeks of me having the device, I literally only gamed on it at night. The rest of the time I was tinkering and setting it up exactly how I liked it. I actually emulate it on it more than anything, though I've grown to like the achievement system more and more, and I've enjoyed a metagame outside of trophy hunting for the first time in my life. I have decided to play in 100% all Resident Evil games on my Steam Deck. These are some cover arts that I made for my deck that are on Steam Grid DB that I really like. I'm playing Resident Evil 4 on here right now, and it looks so good and plays great. It blows my mind to this day when I load up a new game and see how great it looks on this screen. I even made my own boot animation. It is on the repo and has actually been downloaded a lot. PS Fanboy here. To be able to have so many games for almost every system in the history of gaming, plus a lot of modern titles on the go at all times, has just been a dream come true. I'm also a single father raising my son by myself, and it has been convenient to play this thing while he runs around the house or watches some of his baby cartoons. The Steam Deck has made me a believer in Valve, more so than any other tech company on this planet. Microsoft and Nintendo have done a lot to tee me off in the past, and honestly, PlayStation has done a few things lately to rub me the wrong way. Valve seems to really listen to their customers, and we are thankful for that. In fact, I may not play on console anymore when they launch a console-like device if it has a new Steam controller with these touchpads. I have 300 games on my deck at any time, and I can access those. How could I ever be bored? Almost 2 years later, and I still somehow remain hyped about the deck. There's always something I discover, whether it's a plugin, a software update, and many other things that reinvigorate my excitement for this thing. Speaking of which, as I was in the middle of writing the script, I opened up YouTube to check out my analytics for my latest video, and Digital Foundry posts a video of an OLED screen on the deck. I get hyped and clicked on it. I'm thinking someone finally figured out how to make an OLED onto the deck with a mod. Nope. Valve hit us with a mid-gen refresh that just got me so pumped. I've watched every review on it so far, or first impressions video, having the same experience I have been having on my deck, but with an OLED with HDR would just make this device perfect. Their OLED was the last leg Switch purists had to stand on, because we always talk about the superiority of our system to be able to play Switch games in every other system, including PC. They have nothing now that makes them better. Just kidding. What blows my mind the most about the new OLED model is not all the small improvements on the surface, but the improved internals. I watched Gamer Nexus's video on how the difference in the internals are from the OG model to the new one, and holy shit, Valve has really impressed me with how well crafted the boards look. They are so clean and tidy. I don't know how circuitry and board manufacturing works like many out there, but I do know the internals are a piece of art, and they show Valve's maturity in this space. A lot of YouTubers have said there is no need to upgrade. I disagree wholeheartedly, not just because the new screen, but because how much they fine-tuned everything down to the smallest detail. They took my favorite device of all time and improved it in every way we asked for, plus more. And yes, the Steam Deck is now my favorite device of all time. Prior to this, it was between the Nexus 6 and the PSP, but the deck is just perfect in so many ways, and Valve really just is one of the best companies I have ever witnessed. I have spent a lot of time on forums, on Reddit, and in my Facebook groups for the deck. I've heard the stories. I've seen all the customer support they have given. So many stories of how the Steam Deck has improved people's lives. I really feel like this device was made for me. Sure, it could use more power, but that will come with time, and Valve's approach to this has been very intelligent and well orchestrated. To me, the only thing we need out of the next deck, like that's obvious, is more power and hopefully another USB-C port. But I truly feel like, as a lover of handhelds, gaming, and customization,
This has been the perfect product for me, truly. I will keep giving Valve its credit and buying their products as long as they keep the same attitude and goodwill with their customers. Not many companies can say they revolutionized a part of their expertise. Valve can say that. To me, what Valve did with the Deck is what Apple did with cell phones. They have taken gaming in a better direction in the handheld space and built a hype around their products. Many people just like myself are foaming at the mouth to see what else they will release, and are excited for the Steam Deck's future. Thank you, Valve.